Hello again, welcome to another video. Another day, another vlog. Every single day, here with me, James Atkinson. I make a vlog every day. No matter what, no matter how, no matter way. That doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to make sense, but I'm trying to improvise. Improvise my lines. So, what is going to start off today's vlog is taking this pile of washing up and putting it in the sink. Ha ha ha, chores. Everybody's favourite. And the next thing that I'm going to do is what I was talking about in yesterday's video, which is I'm going to take these potatoes here, new potatoes, and I'm going to take, you know what, I'm going to do all of, that's right, I'm going to take all 5 tins of new potatoes and I'm going to roast them up. I'm going to make some nice roast potatoes. So, here we go. So, the way that I do roast potatoes is I'll open up all 5 cans of potatoes one by one, and then I drain out all the water. I'm not using fresh potatoes because I'm trying to use up all of the long life sort of shelf food that I bought quite a while ago. I'm trying to use all of it, so I've got to use these tinned potatoes. So yeah, I just drain them all, chuck them onto the baking tray. What I'm doing now. Okay. 4 tins done, 1 more left. So, I've got 5 tins of potatoes, all emptied out. Here's what that looks like. 5 empty tins, and a baking tray full of potatoes. Now, I'm going to salt them all. I think I need to open another salt container. Here it is, the salt. So, I'm going to pop that open. Ah, Jesus. Right. Salt them all. It's not coming out too well. Oh, it's okay. Right. Cool. Lots and lots and lots of salty salt. Right. If they need more salt later, then I can add that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of sunflower oil. Not a lot, but just a little sort of drip of oil just across the tops of those potatoes. And then just shove them in the oven. Shove them in the oven. See how it rhymes. It rhymes all the time. Don't you like the improvisational element? I do. So yeah, there we go. That's the roast potatoes. Ready to go. I don't know how long they take. I'd say roughly 45 minutes. I like to get them real roasty and real toasty, so I'll leave them for a good amount of time, you know, get them crispy. I've just finished editing yesterday's video, or I should call it today's video. I don't know which day's video it is. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I've just finished editing the video previous to this one. And now I'm desperate for a pee. Although it is sometimes difficult not to talk negatively about other people, it is generally a good idea because it helps to reduce the amount of trouble and conflict that could possibly occur. I actually can't quite understand the people that do manage to say the things they think, because I don't manage to say a lot of it, and it's almost as if the possibility of that just disappears very quickly. And I really wonder how the people who do talk negatively about other people manage to actually do it. I don't seem to be able to get the words out, even if I wanted to. I don't think I could. Anyhow, what is that noise? I don't know what the noise was. Something going on outside. Yeah, what I'm saying is, anyhow, I am waiting now for that video that I've just edited to start exporting. To finish exporting, and it takes a real long time. It goes up quite quickly at first, and then it takes much longer. I'll show you what I mean. So here's the exporting panel. That's the video. There it is exporting, and then if you look at the bottom here, you can see the progress bar. So it goes up to this point, like almost straight away, and then it spends the rest of the time going up the rest of it. I don't really understand why that is. I guess I naively assumed that it would just go up consistently. But it seems like it definitely doesn't do that. Anyway, while I'm waiting for the video to export, what I always do now is pretty much just go on TikTok or Reddit or YouTube on my phone, because the computer slows right down. Water is good. I made roast potatoes before. I used 5 cans of potatoes. 5 cans of potatoes to make roast potatoes. And I ate them all in one go. And it wasn't like I was trying to force them down. I actually wanted to eat them. How have I eaten 5 cans of potatoes in one go? That seems like an awful lot. But thinking about it, I've been doing a lot of exercise, so maybe I've increased my appetite. I've not picked up the vlog for probably a few hours, which has been unusual, at least for the last 55 days. I'm usually picking up this camera quite a lot. But I've basically been sitting here and watching a bunch of TikToks and getting some inspiration. Found a guy on there who's really good at guitar. And he reminds me a lot of Jimi Hendrix, the way he plays. It's quite amazing. So I started trying to make my own TikTok of me playing guitar. I've just played a song, recorded a video of it. I've already played this song in my vlog before, but I'll show you a little bit of it. Oops. This is what I've been playing for the last sort of, I don't know, half an hour. I am a strong man, I do a lot with my hands. I've got a hat that is upside down and is full of elastic bands. I've got a lot of respect for the intellect. I've got a pocket full of money, a few jokes that are funny, and a phone with the internet. But I am just another piece on the chessboard. I'm 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 just another piece on the chessboard. I take a walk every day, always got something to say. If you need a little time, we'll share a little rhyme, and you know we've got music to play. When I hang out with my friends, every single body bends. They bend down to their feet every time we meet, and they will to the very end. But I am just another piece on the chessboard. I'm 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 just another piece on the chessboard. Yeah, I'm not that great at the guitar really. I'm very, very beginner levels. But I've only just started practicing it really not too long ago. I need to get a good teacher and have someone to sit down with and properly work on some guitar. That is my goal, but that's my little song that I've made up called I'm Just Another Piece on the Chessboard. Basically working with what I've got, which is like a very limited amount of chords that I actually know on the guitar. Shit, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I was trying to make a TikTok out of that. But I don't think it's quite good enough in terms of the cleanness of the performance for my liking. So I'll put it in the vlog. I'll put it in the vlog. I'll slip it into the middle of the vlog here, or near the beginning of the vlog. But I'm not ready to make a TikTok of it yet. But yeah, very much enjoying playing guitar and singing. And I'd really like to focus on like learning some covers to a pretty good standard, and then being able to play those. And then I'll just do some videos of those, put those up on my TikTok, put those up on my YouTube, and just make some YouTube videos just for fun. Music videos, YouTube music videos, all of that. Everything creative, anything creative. Fun stuff, keeping it fun, lighthearted, but putting in the work to make a sound that I like the sound of. And it's just me singing for me. Me making the sounds that I like for me. Because I like them. And that's what my vlog is about too. Just me entertaining me. Me talking to me for me. That's that. Bagga diggy biggy bum bum bum, bagga diggy diggy bum bum bum, bagga diggy diggy bum bum bum, bagga diggy diggy bum bum, babba dibba dim bum bum bum, babba dibby dibby bum, babba dibby dibby bum bum bum, babba dibby dibby bum, babba dibby dibby bum bum bum, babba dibby dibby bum bum bum, babba dibby dibby bum, babba dibby diddly ding, babba dibby dibby bum bum bring, diddly diddly bum. Gonna read some more from this book. Wild Thing, The Short Spellbinding Life of Jimi Hendrix. First time he ever fell foul of Seattle's police department was in May 1961 when he was picked up for what was passed on. Okay, I've read that bit. After what he described as 7 days in the cooler, but was more likely a few hours on remand in juvenile hall, a judge gave him the choice of 2 years detention or joining the army. He unhesitatingly picked the latter, which at the time hardly seemed like punishment at all. He had long felt attracted to a life in one or other armed service, not from any bellicose spirit, but because it seemed to offer all the security and stability his childhood had lacked. A couple of months earlier, he and a friend had tried to volunteer for the US Air Force, but been turned away for not looking tough enough. He knew the 101st Airborne Division as the crack outfit dropped behind German lines during the 1944 Normandy landings, and when he was younger he had done many admiring sketches of its famous Screaming Eagle badge. Despite its elite status, the 101st Seattle Recruiting Office had no problem with the long, languid youth who looked as if he wouldn't hurt a fly. So on 31st of May, he set out for basic training at Fort Ord in California, leaving his guitar, Betty Jean, in the care of its human namesake. He had never been away on his own before and was engulfed by homesickness even for the indifferent homes Al provided. The more so as Leon was back with their father again. In these early days, he wrote repeatedly to Al, requesting money to pay for all the supplementary equipment he needed to buy, but also sharing the most trivial events in his new life, such as losing a bus ticket and always signing off "Love James." Yet he was determined to get through these hellish weeks of ritual humiliation by bawling drill sergeants and thus show himself every bit as much a soldier as Al used to be. "I'll try my very best to make this airborne," he wrote, "for the sake of our name." The first terrifying step in parachute training was to climb to the top of a 34-foot tower, jump off and be carried to earth dangling from a harness. The 3 men ahead of him all chickened out, but Jimmy didn't hesitate. He was to make 25 jumps from an aircraft, eventually becoming almost used to it. Physically, it was a falling over backwards, says the voice in the Voodoo Child documentary, at times sounding almost like a song lyric. And it's almost like blanking, and it's almost like crying, and you want to laugh. It's so personal because once you get there, it's so quiet. All you hear is the breeze, shh, like that. And so you look up, and there's that big, beautiful white mushroom above you. The America of 1961 was involved in no hostilities overseas. The Korean War had ended in the mid-1950s, and its involvement in Vietnam was still only marginal. After basic training, Jimmy was posted to Fort Campbell on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, with no prospect of serving overseas as Al had done.
The US Army was officially desegregated, although its white and black personnel tended to socialize separately. But outside Fort Campbell, conditions were very different from relatively tolerant Seattle. Jimmy was in the heart of the redneck South, where he could expect to be addressed as boy, as if slavery had never ended, and young black men were beaten up, even killed at the slightest provocation, or for no provocation whatsoever. After all his dreams of airborne daring do, he was made a supply clerk in a parts warehouse. The days became an automaton round of drill, fatigues, and press ups, or as he termed it, pushing Tennessee around with my hands. He followed orders, behaved himself, and was duly promoted to private first class. On arriving at Fort Campbell, he'd ask his father to get his guitar back from Betty Jean Morgan and send it to him. It took our dad 9 months to get that together. Leon Hendricks recalls, "That's how come Jimmy looked like he might be turning into a good soldier." But the six-string Betty Jean's arrival brought an end to her owner's military keenness. He'd call home and go, "Listen to this song I just wrote," and play it to me down the line. I'd go away and do my thing, and when I came back and picked up the phone again, he'd still be playing. The insularity of each unit in the 101st Airborne meant he didn't find a friend until well into his time at Fort Campbell. But what a friend that turned out to be. One night, a fellow black recruit from a different barrack block, Billy Cox by name, was returning from the base cinema when a sudden rain shower forced him to shelter in the doorway of its number 1 service club. Through a half-open window, he heard the sound of a guitar. I asked my buddy who was with me what he thought of the guys playing, and he said he thought it sounded like a bunch of mess, Cox recalls, but he was only listening with a human ear, and I thought I was listening with a spiritual ear. To me it sounded like a combination of John Lee Hooker and Beethoven. I walked in and introduced myself and told him I had played upright bass in the school symphony, but I wasn't that good. He said, "They have electric basses now, go check them out. By the way, my name is Jimi Hendrix." Born in West Virginia and raised in Pittsburgh, 19-year-old Cox came from a very different social sphere. His father was a major in the army and a minister, and his family belonged to the black bourgeoisie that was just beginning to attract notice. Though only a year older than Jimmy, he would become somewhat like the loving father and somewhat the protective older brother he'd never had. That was the most beautiful relationship between two guys that I ever saw, Cox's wife, Brenda, recalls. Bill watched Jimmy's back in the army, and wherever he went afterwards, he always knew Bill would be there for him. Jimmy would later claim that army routine had left him no time to further his career as a performer. In fact, the soldier's day at Fort Campbell ended at 4 p.m, leaving him pretty much free to do what he liked until bed call. Billy Cox proved to have a natural aptitude on bass guitar, and the two of them formed a band called the Casuals with buddies from their respective units, which the 101st Airborne made no attempt to shut down. The thing I noticed about Jimmy was that he never carried Betty Jean in a case, Cox recalls, but it wasn't because he couldn't afford one. He wanted to have that guitar ready and waiting at any time he felt like playing it. The nearest town to the base, Clarksville, Tennessee, 16 miles away, had a number of bars and clubs catering to a largely military clientele. Here, the Casuals found regular work at an establishment named the Pink Poodle. The guy who owned it had painted it pink because he thought that made people cooler and better behaved, Cox says. Before that, he'd had a place where the walls were red and there'd been nothing but shootings and fights. Their first gig at the Pink Poodle was backing a blues singer known as Crying Shame, and he had a sister named Damn Shame. We almost had to be hauled away because we laughed so much, but when he started, we stopped laughing because this cat could sing his butt off. He was a great blues singer, one of many we learned from. We shall overcome long as we can run, ran the sour joke among black stand-up comedians, and Jimmy's abilities as a sprinter, allied to the physical fitness which army training had given him, proved to be a literal lifesaver. Late one night, as he walked back alone from a Casuals gig, a truck screeched to a halt beside him, and a group of drunken white youths jumped out, screaming racial abuse. Jimmy took off across a cornfield, easily outdistanced his would-be attackers, and then, rather like Cary Grant in Hitchcock's North by Northwest, lay doggo on top of Betty Jean until they gave up and drove away. In July 1962, he was honourably discharged from the army after serving only 2 of the 3 years he'd signed on for. By then, the escalating situation in Vietnam called for increasing numbers of American troops, albeit with the euphemism of military advisors, and he might well have been among them had he stayed. He would always claim to have been discharged on medical grounds after breaking an ankle and injuring his back in a parachute jump. In reality, he finagled his way out on spurious medical and psychiatric grounds, for he had come to hate military life and could think only of continuing his musical collaboration with Billy Cox, who was due to be discharged after leaving a full term at around the same time. To a succession of army doctors and psychiatrists he recited a long list of symptoms, most of which his barrack mates had never noticed. Dizziness, pain and pressure in the left chest, loss of weight, frequent trouble sleeping, personal problems. He even claimed to be homosexual, something for which no tolerance yet existed in any armed service, and almost as fancifully to need glasses to correct faulty vision in both eyes. Despite the flimsiness of his case, the 101st made little effort to keep him. His service file described him as one of the poorest, i.e. in performance, members of his platoon, who carried out his duties unsatisfactorily, needed constant supervision, possessed no esprit de corps, and seemed an extreme introvert. Playing with the casuals until all hours often made him late for bed check, and he was always tired and nodding off to sleep while on duty. He was also suspected of smoking dope, though no firm evidence had been found. If the homosexuality also remained unproven, there was ample evidence of sexual ill health. One day, when he was meant to be in a fatigue detail, a sergeant had caught him masturbating in the showers. He seems unable to conform to military rules and regulations, the army concluded, and his mind apparently cannot function while performing duties and thinking about his guitar. He left the army alone, for Billy Cox was not due to be released for another month. He would later concoct the bizarre fiction that he'd sold Betty Jean to a fellow serviceman from whom he would have to buy it back later. He never sold his guitar, scoffs Cox. I drove it out of Fort Campbell on the back seat of my car. His accumulated back pay amounted to several $100s, more money than he'd ever possessed in his life. His immediate intention had been to return to Seattle and marry Betty Jean Morgan. Instead, he got diverted to a Clarksville jazz club where he began buying drinks for everyone and very soon had spent all the money but $16. He thought of sending his father an SOS, but the idea of admitting failure to Al, and in particular having blown almost $400, was too daunting. So he decided to stick around Clarksville, subsisting on what he could earn with the casuals, and sneaking back into the base for meals and even the occasional overnight stay until Billy got out too. The two friends celebrated their freedom from drills and inspections with a promotion, changing the name of their band from the Casuals to the King Casuals. Once his hair had grown back from its savage military crop, Jimmy had it straightened, an uncomfortable process involving a solution of corrosive potassium hydroxide, and styled into a conch, the thick wedge favoured by every R&B demigod from Little Richard to James Brown. With no more bed call curfew, the King Casuals could widen their radius to Tennessee, Indiana, even North Carolina. Their night's fee was seldom more than $10 between them, which unscrupulous club owners would seize any excuse to cut down or withhold altogether. One man used to slip their money into Billy's or Jimmy's pocket as they were playing. When they checked it later, there would only be a fraction of the agreed amount. They still stuck to the standard R&B and blues repertoire, although Jimmy loved the new surfing sound coming from California with the almost blindingly white Beach Boys, who had lately watered down Chuck Berry's Sweet Little 16 into Surfing USA. Between gigs, he practiced so relentlessly that his bandmates nicknamed him Marbles, meaning he must be losing them. He put 25 years on the guitar into about 5 years, Billy Cox says. In Indianapolis, they took part in a battle of the bands with a local outfit named the Presidents. Inevitably, the audience voted for the hometown boys, but the President's guitarist, Alfonso Young liked the King Casuals so much that he volunteered to join them. Young could play a guitar with his teeth in the manner already made famous by the magnificent T-Bone Walker, and for the first time Jimmy found someone stealing his limelight on stage. But off stage nothing could. During his army service he'd metamorphosed from a gawky kid into a young man of devastating good looks, made all the more irresistible to the opposite sex by his shy, thoughtful manner. There was seldom a gig that did not end in him spending the night with one or more of the most beautiful young women in the audience. Usually there was nowhere to take them but the bed, which for economic reasons he shared with Alfonso Young. The unfortunate Alfonso, a devout Jehovah's Witness, would have to lie there and listen to Jimmy doing for real what he himself merely did to guitar strings. It was a considerable step up for the King Casuals when Billy Cox secured them a residency at a club named the Del Morocco in Nashville, Tennessee. Located in the district known as Printers Alley, the city's two newspapers being quartered nearby, it was owned by a prominent Nashville character named Uncle Teddy Acklin, and had a celebrity clientele including the baseball superheroes Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella. For $11 apiece per week, the King Casuals played on their own or backed solo artists like Carla Thomas, Nappy Brown, and Ironing Board Sam. In 1962, Tennessee still retained prohibition, but the police turned a blind eye to brown bagging, customers bringing in their own liquor. In this capital of country and western music, most black musicians felt like an embattled minority. However, Jimmy had always admired the dazzling dexterity of country pickers like Chet Atkins, and back in Seattle, never missed the weekly live broadcasts from Nashville's chapel-like Ryman Auditorium, better known as the Grand Ole Opry. Ordinarily, no greater barrier existed than between this white soul music and the black variety. Only Jimmy, genre-busting even then, was equally at ease playing rockabilly, the fusion of rock and hillbilly that Elvis Presley had first unloosed at the Opry and elsewhere. Printers Alley's most glamorous R&B venue was Club Baron, whose house band, the Imperials, featured the virtuoso guitarist Johnny Jones. Despite soon spotting a potential rival in the young ex-paratrooper, Jones went out of his way to befriend and encourage him and introduce him to the many guitar stars who had passed through. So he got to meet Albert King, a huge untidy heap of a man with the lightest of touches on the triangular instrument he called his Flying V, and the dapper B.B. King, no relation, whose cherry-red Epiphone named Lucille, like Jimmy's much-missed mother, delivered a masterclass in less is more. But unlike other young pickers whom these real-life rocking kings tended to reduce to dumb adoration, he would boldly ask them for tips about technique. As well as being a perfect foil to him on bass, Billy Cox was his equal in chutzpah. When the great Bobby Blue Bland came to Club Baron, the pair were refused entry to watch him rehearse, so they sneaked to the utility cupboard, grabbed a bucket and a mop each, and got in by pretending to be janitors. One night, their audience at the Del Morocco included Larry Lee, a laconic student at Texas State University who lived off campus and was a keen, though as yet amateur guitarist. That first time I saw Jimmy, I thought he was the worst guitar player I ever heard, Lee recalled later. I was looking for a practice buddy and thought, that's him. I was just so happy I wasn't the worst guitar player in Nashville. Alfonso Young, the other guitarist, he had a big, pretty guitar, and Jimmy was just laying back, really doing nothing. When I came back a couple of weeks later, he had a different guitar, an Epiphone Wilshire, on the installment plan for which Billy Cox stood guarantor, and man did he surprise me. I finally met him one night when he broke a string. I told him I was a guitar player and I stayed right up the street. I brought him a new string and we were friends after that. Jimmy's hubris could land him in trouble, as when he challenged the Imperials' great Johnny Jones to a public duel, like some young gunslinger trying to take down Wyatt Earp, or Paul Newman as Fast Eddie chancing his arm against the Pool Meister, Minnesota Fats in The Hustler. In his overconfidence, he used one too many well-known B.B. King tricks, and Jones blasted him off the stage. He came looking for a shootout, Larry Lee would recall, but he was the one who got himself shot. Nashville brought him his first time in a recording studio, and this too ended badly. After doing some session work for DJ and producer Hoss Allen, Billy Cox persuaded Allen to hire Jimmy as backup for Clarence Frogman Henry, who'd recently stormed the white singles market with You Always Hurt the One You Love, but Allen thought his playing too loud and wiped all the tapes on which he'd played. In December, impatient with the King Casuals' lack of progress, he temporarily abandoned them and made his first northwesterly trip home since leaving the army. Not to Seattle and undoubtedly sticky reunions with Betty Jean Morgan and his father, but to visit his grandmother Zenora in Vancouver. He stayed long enough to hook up with a local band, Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, with a regular spot at a club named Dante's Inferno. They shared his musical open-mindedness, alternating R&B with some of the shiny new tracks now pouring from Detroit's Motown label like an automotive production line, and even the odd splash of surf. Jimmy had to accept demotion to rhythm guitar as the Vancouvers already had a strong lead player, the part Chinese Tommy Chong, who would find greater fame in the comedy duo Cheech and Chong. But it was worth it to be with Zenora, listening to her stories of Cherokees, slaves, and minstrels, and not have to face Al or Betty Jean. For generations, racism in America was as nonsensical as it was brutal. When Hattie McDaniel became the first African American to win an Oscar as Best Supporting Actress for her performance as Mammy in Gone with the Wind, she was excluded from the film's premiere in Atlanta, Georgia, and had to sit apart from its white stars at the 1940 award ceremony. No matter how internationally famous entertainers like Sammy Davis Jr., Harry Belafonte, Lena Horne, and Nat King Cole might become, they were barred from staying at the Las Vegas hotels in whose cabaret rooms they appeared, even as their names soared up giant billboards outside. Black music in all its forms, ragtime, jazz, blues, R&B, had evolved under the same apartheid as lunch counters and washrooms banished to a netherworld of so-called race or speciality records, radio stations, and films in which even the great Louis Armstrong might pop up, demeaningly clad in a waiter's jacket. Yet the white people on whom it was supposedly such a corrupting and debasing influence had always illicitly listened to and loved it. Jazz, in the end, involved too many whites and too much money to stay in that oral ghetto, but the less easily homogenized blues and R&B still seemed literally beyond the pale. Since the 1920s, there had existed a continent-wide network of dedicated black music venues, though whites were never excluded with anything like the same ferocity as blacks from white ones. This was known with humorous self-depreciation as the Chitlin Circuit, chitterlings or pig's intestines being among the soul food dishes sold in such places. It included some large, often famous theatres like the Apollo in New York's Harlem, the Royal in Chicago, or the Regal in Baltimore, but consisted largely of clubs, dance halls, and juke joints. Alright, good reading. I'm really liking this book so far. So, it's now 11:51 p.m. and I've just been sitting here watching Michael Barrymore's YouTube videos, and I reckon it's not too long now before I'm gonna be hitting the hay. So, a very good night to you all. See you in the morning. Good morning. Last thing I did last night before I went to sleep was put my phone and my camera on charge. When I woke up, they hadn't charged. And I think this might be related to the fault I had with electricity the other day. I just plugged
plug into a different socket and it seems to be working. Oh well, so my phone and my camera haven't charged at all, even though I left them there all night. Oh well, I think maybe the fuse in the plug socket has been overwhelmed with electricity, and it's stopped working. Should explain why the electricity kept going off. Anyway, I've got to make some coffee, wake the brain up. I usually fill it about halfway with hot water and then add some cold in. The reason I do that is so I can drink it pretty much straight away. Just gave the sink a bit of a clean. Now I'm going to drink my coffee. That is not a good start to the day, realising that my phone and camera haven't charged. And also realising that the plug socket might not be working. Well, it definitely isn't working. Otherwise they would have charged. Anyway, I'm really tired, so better do what I can to wake myself up. Got this ginkgo. Taking two of them just now. Now I'm gonna drink some coffee. I'm gonna have to do a lot more cleaning very soon. It's reaching the point where it's vitally necessary. I'm also considering paying for a better advert for this house. Right now, I'm selling it with purple bricks. And I've got the house listed on adverts using purple bricks and using Zoopla. But it's not on Rightmove. And Rightmove is the most used platform. But if you want to get on Rightmove, you've got to pay an extra £150 to get it advertised on there. I'm thinking of doing it next time I get the money to do so, in the hopes that it will sell the house faster, or at least get more viewings so that it feels like I'm gonna sell the house. I've only been up for like 5 minutes and I'm definitely thinking about going back to sleep. Hopefully I'll get some energy soon. It really is the worst part of the day. Worst part of the day for me by far is as soon as I wake up. It's just too fucking hard, man. Why is it so hard? I love watching YouTube videos, but I wish that I had more of a life going on. Like, the things that I watch just makes me wish that I was doing something that was good. But I'm really not at the moment. I'm making my vlog, and that is good. I'm not going to forget that it is good. But I really want to be doing more than that. You know what? I think I'm just being... Well, I already explained before that After I've just woken up, I feel extra pessimistic for some reason. Extra negative. It takes me about an hour usually to sort of snap out of that. So, to be honest, that's probably all that's happening. I just feel like that because I've only just gotten up. I do wish I didn't have to feel like that though. I wish I didn't have to go through that every single day. But that's basically about how the day starts off. With about an hour, maybe less, maybe more, of not feeling very good at all. And it takes a bit of time before I can feel alright. One thing that has actually very much helped with that is pulling out the camera straight away and talking to the vlog. So every morning just talking about how I feel. Then I'm not keeping it in. Then I have an outlet for how I feel. I get to share it, even if it's only with a camera. It does relieve some of the burden. Someone said a phrase to me before. They said, a problem shared is a problem halved. And I feel like there's some truth in that. Anyway, I better make some more coffee. I'm already on coffee number 2. You know what? I think it's going to be a good day today. I just have to get over the hump. The hard bit. And then I'm actually very optimistic now that I think about it. I think tiredness makes me pessimistic. And that's all it is. It's me thinking, oh, I'm too tired to do what I want to do. So then I start thinking, oh, I can't do what I want to do. And then I focus on that. And I did just at some point come up with a strategy which was like, well, if I know that that's the way I am for the first hour of the day, I just have to keep reminding myself that throughout the first hour of the day until I'm over that. And then the more that I sort of know that, then it's almost like the less of an issue it is. Anyway, the focus to remain positive should always be on what can I do now? What can I do today? Not focusing on what I don't have, not focusing on what I can't do. I should always be focusing on what can I do and what am I going to do, because those two questions are much more important than focusing on what I can't do and what I want to do. So today, when I get my energy levels up and I feel more refreshed and alive and energetic after all of this coffee that I'm drinking, I've taken some ginkgo. After all that, I'm going to be
getting up and going back outside again, like I did yesterday and the day before, and like I will be doing more and more, I imagine. So I'm going to be going out and vlogging outside of the house today, I believe. That's what I think I'm going to be doing. That's what I'm saying that I'm going to be doing right now. And that's it, really. Keeping it very simple. I only really have to say one thing I'm going to do at a time, and it's much better when I do only say one thing at a time that I'm going to do, because then I'm focused. If I'm thinking of too many things that I want to do, then I'm not focused. I'm thinking. And I want to be focused on what I'm doing in the present moment, and just be doing that. The reason I'm saying all this is because of the thoughts that I keep having, which are kind of like what I was saying about wishing to have something that I don't. Those kind of thoughts, which are okay when there's someone to talk to about those goals or desires or whatever. It's no problem having goals or desires. But focusing too much on it does detract from the ability to actually act in the moment. Or if it does that, then there has to be a re-emphasis on I'm only doing what I can as and when I can do that. All right, a bit more energetic now. Is that the right word? Energetic. 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 Sounds like the right word. The angel of energy is energetic. The angelic angel of energy is angelically energetic. Anyhow, I'm going to be heading out the door. I'm going to be heading out the door. I'm going to be heading to heaven, which is out the door. I guess Ganesh. Ganesh, I am going to be heading out of the door. Very, 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 very soon. I've just been basically watching Dua Lipa, her live show. I think it was one of the ones in America, and it was on the Future Nostalgia tour, where they're all wearing their colourful jumpsuits. And roller skating around. I like that tour a lot. I think it was really good. And I've watched a lot of the shows from that tour. If only I got to see it live. That would have been so good. I think the next album she brings out Well, obviously, I'm going to listen to the album because everything she's done so far, I think, is great. But yeah, for the next tour, for sure, if she does another one, I would really, really, really like to get tickets for that. That would be awesome. The last sort of big show that I went to was when I went to see Red Hot Chili Peppers in Glasgow, and that was really good. And obviously I've spent a really long time listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers, so it was amazing to see them again. But I would really like to see Dua Lipa. Anyway, I've got to take a break from watching her show. Oh, it was at the SAP Center in San Jose, CA, which I guess is California. California, yeah. Don't know when it's time for some new shoes, but I've got a pair waiting here. I've got a pair in there. Another pair here. Another pair here. Wait, have I got? Is that 5? Yeah, I've got 4 new pairs of shoes that are ready to go when I want to wear them. But I like to wear out the ones that I have for the moment before I put on some new ones. I just got rid of one pair because they started to the bottom of the shoe started to wear through. Don't know how long I had them for. Not really that long, actually, to be honest. Would be good to find a pair of shoes that would actually last a bit longer, because I'm always wearing them out, you know. Or just to be able to find the money to be able to get more shoes whenever I need them. Anyway, I'm going to be heading out the door and go out into the world again for more adventures. It's currently 10:24 a.m. I realised yesterday that I have to hold the camera a bit higher when I'm doing my shots outside, because I tend to hold it kind of like down here, a bit too low, as I need to hold it up so that the shot is better, you know. I do have to say it's getting a lot more tolerable out here. It's nothing like as cold. And even though it's not like super sunny today, it's not cold either. I can feel it is getting a little warmer, which is a nice welcomed change. Very happy. It's quite quiet out. Like I said, it's about 10:30 a.m. On a Thursday. So I guess all the people that are sort of at work are probably there by now, doing their jobs, working away. And so I don't really know what all these people are doing who are just driving around. Lots of people with no jobs around here. Lots of people with no jobs everywhere at the moment. Just less jobs than there used to be. Or so it seems. I mean, that's the story that I've got going on. There's probably more jobs in certain areas where, you know, certain industries are going on. Probably more jobs than ever. But around this area where I am in Lancashire, I would say there's not a lot of jobs going. I've spent plenty of time looking for them, not managed to find any. Well, I had a couple sort of like short-term
not for very long, because it just didn't work out. And yeah, I don't really want a job all that much, to be honest. I've said it before, it's not that I don't want to work. I do want to work. I like working. Just don't want a job. If I'm gonna work, I'd like to be independently working, and ideally playing music. If you do decide to play music as like a profession, let's say, then obviously there are jobs that you can get where you're working for somebody else. I don't really like that kind of idea. I like to be sort of equals and work with people rather than working for people. It just works out better for me. I will work for somebody if it is a person that I look up to, someone I would like to be like. But if you're working for somebody that you wouldn't want to be like, then you really have to think about that, because whoever you're working for, that's basically like who you're going to become. If you let them make your decisions, if you let them give you orders and everything. So I always say this, and I think this is exactly how I feel, is that if I'm going for a job interview, I'm interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing me. I'm not making any assumption that I want this job. We're both meeting each other for the first time, and just as they might not think that I'm the right fit for them, I can most definitely think that that they're not the right fit for me. I've thought that many times, gone for job interviews where I've ended up saying, like, I really don't think I would want to work for that person. Based on just first meeting. I guess first meeting can say a lot, but it can also not really give a very good representation of the full scope of what a person is like. You don't really get to see exactly what a person is like after such a small amount of time, like what you have in a job interview. So that's why I think there's got to be, there has to be a substantial sort of, I guess, probationary period or training period where you both see if you want to work together. But I think you should really just like work through that entire period until you've given it like a reasonable enough amount of time to actually see whether you want to work with them. Because it takes a while to really get to know somebody, and you've got to see through some of their flaws sometimes to actually start to see their abilities, So it's not really something you can see straight away, whether somebody is going to be a good fit for a job or not. I guess people sort of think it is something you can see straight away. I'm not that convinced. And there's lots of different sides to people, and we all have parts of our natures that are liked and parts of our natures that are not liked. I have those, you have those, everybody has those. We all have a duality that we exist within, and that exists within us. And that means not being
clearly one way or another. You can be both ways, you can be neither way. There's many more options than is understood by people sometimes. Anyway, that was a bit of a long sort of speech on jobs. But yeah, I'm just going for a walk right now. And yeah, like I said, it's very, very, very quiet. I think I've only seen like one other person this whole time I've been walking. Probably been walking for close to 10-15 minutes now. So I don't know what's going on today, but it looks like not really a lot is actually going on today, at least not outside. That's okay. That's not exactly what I like, but you know, I can keep walking till I find somewhere with more things going on. It's all going to change very soon because I'm not going to be living here for very long, at least as long as everything goes to plan. Just spent a good hour in the library, just doing some stuff on my phone, reading, checking all internet stuff, and now I'm gonna go see if my friend is home, see if he wants to come out. I saw him yesterday for a couple of hours, but I had to leave him, so I'm gonna go see if he's around today and if he wants to come hang out for a bit, as it's pretty nice out, so I think it would be good to stay out for a bit longer. Anyway, so he's not got a phone, so this is the only way to get in touch with him, is to literally go and find him the old school way, the way they used to do it. Hello. I was basically just looking at Reddit mostly in the library. Had a look at my emails, had a look at Indeed, but it's not a great deal going on there. So mostly just ended up reading Reddit threads. I didn't want to use the computer, so I just stayed on my phone. I've basically been thinking about listening to music the whole time I've been out, thinking about putting my earphones on and listening. But I want to keep them out so that I can do the video when I want to, when I need to, you know. Not need to, but want to. Had a knock on his place. He's not answered. Don't know if he's in or not. So I guess I'm by myself for now, unless I were to run into anybody that I know, which I might do. I think I'm going to head back around towards the town area, have another bit of a walk around there, maybe just use the toilet or something like that, and then probably head back towards the house and go back to the Dua Lipa concert that I was watching, because it was pretty good. Basically just after I actually left the house, I I did start thinking, maybe I should just stay in and just watch that. But it turned out being good to come out. I've had a good time so far. It's been alright. I mean, it's still pretty early. It's now 12 p.m. So still plenty of time left in the day to do more things. But I guess I'm always just thinking about finding more energy, and as I basically run out of money, can't really afford any energy drinks, which is what I usually buy if I'm out and about, or I buy coffee and stuff like that. So if I go home and make some coffee, that'll definitely keep me going, and I can also just watch a bit more of Dua Lipa playing in California. I've not really watched that one before. There's a few shows that she's done that I've watched like quite a lot of times. Like the one that I've probably watched the most is in Grona Lund. But I've not really seen this one until about yesterday, I think. But it's pretty good, so I'm gonna keep watching more of that. And just soaking up the vibes. What I like about her music is there's several sort of like different levels to it that have become apparent to me over time, and so the more that I listen to it, the more that I started to hear it differently, hear different hear different sides to the same songs, hear the words differently, see the meanings differently, or at least make my own sort of interpretations out of it that are sort of newer, different interpretations. I'm not sure whether those interpretations are intentional or not. I would guess that there are some that are and there are some that aren't, because there can be so many different interpretations of the same thing, and people sort of take different ideas from the same words, and it's really good that you don't already know all of the different interpretations there are, because that means there's so many more left for you to figure out. And I'd say that's part of the joy of listening to music, is you continue to discover different meanings to the same lyrics, and that keeps the same songs that you've heard many times, keeps them fresh, keeps them interesting, and still makes it an exciting listen or an exciting watch. And I guess there may be artists that sort of struggle to develop their music, and they get stuck on very fixed meanings for everything. And I guess they're the ones that people don't really follow along, or maybe the people that do follow along are like the same kinds of people. They think that words have like fixed sort of meanings, and that there's no ability to interpret them or change them, which obviously there is. The meanings of words are always changing, and they change based on the intent, the awareness, or the consciousness that is imbued in those words. The words themselves are made up of letters, and those letters are basically empty shells, like blank canvases. And the person speaking or the person writing gets to add to all these blank canvases their artistic flair, their own meaning, their own purpose. And to think that words are simply just the dictionary definition, and that's all they mean, to think that is really missing a great deal of the fun of the exploration of how to use words, how to use speech, how to use language in a creative way, an interesting way, which actually makes it very fun to speak, to have interactions. But there are people that are sort of outside of this zone. They don't really get that. And that's fair enough, but there's always got to be a development or a continuation of how people understand what it is they think, what it is they say, or what it is that is said, and what it is they hear. That's always going to continue to expand, and without that expansion, there really is a bit of a lack of joy in the lives of people who don't really follow along the route towards expanding their mind. So for those people, I pray, may you find some joy in your life. Start to realise and understand just how playful you can be with everything you say, everything you do. It can all be a game. It can all be very fun. If only you were to see it that way, or realise that it already is that way, then you would most likely live a much happier existence. And who doesn't want a much happier existence? I know I do. I think everybody does. If you actually press them to the core of what it is that they want, that's the basic sort of desire. It might come in different forms. You might say, well, I want more money, or I want a relationship, or whatever. But I think the goal of anything, of everything that you want to do, is to be happier than you are, to be more content, to be more at peace, to feel better. Basically, that's it. And even if you feel good, you still want to feel better. Because if you feel good, you might decide, well, I feel good now. Why do I need to achieve anything? Why do I need a goal? Why do I need to motivate myself? Why do I need to find anything? Why do I need to do anything? I already feel good. Well, that's great. But you could always get better than what you are. And you have to get up and do something every single day. So even if you feel great, you still have to continue on doing something, following some kind of path in your life. And that means having some kind of motivation, having an idea or an interest, having something that you want to do. That's important whether you feel good or not. And no matter how good you get, you can always get better. So that's an important thing to remember. Doesn't matter how good you feel, there's always more. There's always more to discover. There's always more life to be lived. And that keeps you going. The knowledge of that is what makes the world go round. Makes this whole process continue. And well, this whole process continues whether you like it or not. So if you're not feeling good, you really have to reconsider your motivations. Talk about it. Talk about how you feel. And then the more you do that, the more you'll reach an understanding of what your priorities actually are, what it is that you really want to do. Take some time to realize that, and it takes a lot of sort of going round on ideas, repeating yourself. But if you do that enough times, eventually you can figure out what it actually is that you really want to do. And as soon as you have that, you have a single focus. And if you've got something to focus on, then you have a direction to go in. You might not know the steps on how to get to the place you want to be, how to achieve your goal, but if you've got the goal, then you just have to start asking the right questions, breaking it down into, pieces that are the size that you can handle. Not too much, not too little, just right. Goldilocks formula. Just got in the house and I'm going to chill out for as long as it takes. Got to drink some water. It is really quite warm out there. Again, so I may have to be shedding some clothes. Specifically this hat. The hat though does keep my hair in check. I'm probably gonna cut off this hair pretty soon. Go back down to baldy, the bald eagle kind of look. Which is what I usually do. I usually let my hair grow out to this length or longer, sometimes a bit shorter. There's no real, I don't have rules. I just let it grow out naturally, and then when I've had enough of it, cut it off. So I cut you off, I don't need my hair. So, as you can hear, I've just put the kettle on. I'm gonna make another cup of coffee. I would also like to drink some water. If I can find my cup. Oh, there it is. You say you're sorry, but it's too late now. So save it, get gone, shut up. 'Cause if you think I care about you now, well boy, I don't give a fuck. I see you trying to get to me. I see you begging on your knees. Well, girl, I don't give a fuck. So stop trying to get to me. Get up off your knees.
Girl, I don't give a fuck. Changed it from boy to girl there. Could do some boy, could do some girl. Why not? Anyhow, I've got to go make this coffee. And then I think I'm going to take some more Ginkgo biloba. I'd say I'm possibly around about halfway through these pills. I'm going to take 2 more. The recommended dosage is 1 tablet a day, and it says do not exceed the stated recommended amount. Today I've taken 4 of them, and that's what I've been doing for quite some time. I'm not really sure if they're doing anything at all. They may be, they may not. It's quite hard to say, really. But I don't know. I'll keep taking them, and then when I've finished this sort of bottle, then I'll reconsider whether I'm going to get some more of them or if I'm not going to bother. And then I'll think about, am I going to get something else or not? I'm just going to try different things for like a period of time. And if there's anything that I take that where I end up going, wow, I've really noticed a huge difference in how I feel so much better. You know, if I find myself saying that, then that would sort of encourage me to carry on taking them or take them for longer. But, you know, those effects that you feel at first can then end up sort of petering out, and then you just get used to it again. So I think it's just a constant sort of like readjusting of what I'm taking and how much that is just like responding to how the body is affected by that. I might make some more TikToks today. I've been enjoying making them recently. Recently? Like Reese's Pieces. Recently. Not any breakfast today. I don't typically eat breakfast. I don't typically eat in the morning at all. It's getting to 12:39 p.m. now, and I'm thinking about food, but I'm not going to make any yet. Just sort of settled down by the computer, and I'm watching Dua Lipa Complete Show, SAP Center, San Jose, CA, California, 3/27/22. That's what I'm watching on YouTube. I am probably going to be heading back out again pretty soon in order to soak up some more sunshine. Because that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. I may well not do that though. No, I will. I will. I am going to keep singing the praises of today.
It's Thursday, and it's been a brilliant day so far. A great morning. Like I said, it's nearly 1 p.m. And so far, since I woke up, I've had a really, 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 really good time. Apart from the moaning and the groaning in the first little short amount of time after arising. But since I have been properly arisen, I am now very, 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 very happy. And that's really good. So, um, I always have lots of great things to say about anything, about everything. And I will be continuing to sing the praises of the great and the good. Of course, I always do. Yo, what's up, Vlog Nation? VVV for the vlog. Should I describe what I am doing more? Scooby-Doo. It's a mystery. Oh my god, that guy is such a dick. Oh my god, I know. I hate that guy. Wah, wah, wah. Wah. Sucky dummy. Oh, little baby. Oh. Why are people so stupid? Can you explain? Please leave a comment below. Can't lie, I'm getting a bit bored listening to the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Gets a bit tedious, you know? But saying that, I make it interesting for me. How do I make it interesting for me? By looking at it in a new way. By thinking about it different. But it is also up to them to change what they're doing to make it more interesting, because it's not very interesting. Gets a bit boring. Everyone in the crowd, everyone in the audience is like, this is a bit shit. They don't really want to watch this. They don't really want to listen to this. So you got to think, well, how are you going to make this engaging for them? Because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if you're there or not. In fact, they're actually like better off if you're not there. So if it's like that, well, you better just, either sort of get on with the show, but try and make it more interesting, or I guess give up, find a new career, find something else that you can focus on that's more productive that people want. Because really, it's the customer that determines the market, and it's the market that sets the precedent for what is wanted. And if people don't want it, they just don't want it. So there's no funds to support it. And that's the direction that's going in. It's going towards like no one's interested anymore, and you're not doing what people like. So they're going to have to be looking for new artists that are different. That's that. Finished. Having a show that is predictable is exactly that, predictable. Do people want to watch something that's predictable? I don't think so. People want to watch something where they're getting something that is constantly new, invigorating, exciting, refreshing, changing all the time. That's what makes it interesting. If you just think, well, I've already seen this before, I've already heard this before, that's when people go, all right, I'm not interested. So you've got a question. Why are you doing something that has already been done? Why are you repeating songs that you've already played before? Why would anyone want to listen to songs that have already been played? They can go and listen to that whenever they want to. If you're going to be performing live, you should be doing something that they've never seen before. The improvisational element should be much stronger. It's not strong enough. Needs improvement, needs work. I really don't know why people would think that anyone would care about something that they've seen before. It's not interesting to see something that you've seen before. It's interesting to see something you've not seen before. That's what's interesting. That's what makes it interesting. The fact that you haven't seen it is what makes it interesting. I'm getting pretty bored now, so I'm going to do a bit more complaining. And then I don't know what I want to do in terms of going out. Do I want to go out? The answer is yes. Am I going to go out? The answer is maybe. What's the point in going out? The answer is there is no point. And I'm still going to do it because that's what I want to do. So I'm going to have to charge this camera. My phone is currently plugged in and charging. So I'm going to have to pull that out and then plug in the camera instead. But that means I'm not going to have the camera to talk to. And I would like to have the camera to talk to all the time, which is why I said I have to charge it overnight. But because it didn't charge, because the plug socket didn't work, that means that it's got a low battery now. So it's got right now 14% battery, but the phone has got like 88. So I'm going to let that go to 100. And then I'll swap it out for the camera. And then let that go to 100. But I guess for now, I'm going to use up this remaining 13%. I really like the screen on this DJI camera. I love the way it looks. When I look at myself, I'm surrounded by all these icons. Like so basically in the top left here is like the time of how long this shot has been so far. And then if I click it, nothing happens. Then there's a bunch of icons. There's one here, there's one here. Here it says 1080p 50. And there's a little icon next to it, which I'm not sure what that's for. And then there's one here, and that's what I press to spin it around like that. Then here is like the toggle function to switch from zoom to pan. Here is the battery indicator, and then next to it says the percentage. So it currently says 12%, and then there's a little white thing. I'm not sure what that is. A little white box with a line going through it. So there's all this stuff on the screen. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can't see any of that. But for me, looking at myself and looking at the screen, I can see all those icons as well. And I just like the way it looks. I'm definitely thinking about going out again. I just have to charge the camera first. So that's going to take a bit of time. What I could do while I'm waiting for that to charge is I've got to get more creative stuff done, like drawing, but I'm not sure if I have any pens or paper to do that. So might have a look around upstairs, see what's going on upstairs, see if I can find anything up there. Man, I really can't wait to get into my new place. It's going to be so exciting. So different to here, where I am. Because this place is a bit shit. Not very good. I don't like it. Okay, I found some paper. Yes. Yeah, I found some paper and found a pencil. Alright, that'll do. That's what I can use to do this drawing and / or writing. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be really, really great when I move. I'll be going to a better place. I'll be getting away from this place, which is really, really, really a terrible, terrible place to live. For anyone, really. It's so god awful. And I'm going to be much, much, much better off when I go to my new place. And I'm really excited to do that. It's going to be amazing. I can get away from all these people who are like really, really stupid. And go towards all these people that are really, really great. And there's a lot of them out there. There really are a lot of great people around. Just have to open your eyes and then you'll see them. There's no other way to really explain that apart from that. Yeah. This place is just god awful. And because of all the stupid people, I've decided I prefer to go back to where I was before, and sort of live a better life. Because it is much better over there. There's a lot less sort of stupid people and a lot more interesting people. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna have a good time anyway, regardless of what the other people are doing. And the reason I know that is going to be true is because I make the decisions for me. It really is as straightforward as that. So I'm not going to make decisions for me that are creating circumstances that I don't want. Because I'm not stupid. Like they are. They're stupid. I'm not. It is that easy to see that for me. And I can see that because I'm not stupid. I have the ability to see. And these people I'm talking about, they don't have the ability to see. They're blinded by their stupidity. They're blinded by their ideas. You don't need ideas in order to be able to see what is there. And in fact, if you have ideas, that means you cannot see what is there. So if you have an idea about what is there, that means you're not seeing what is there. That means your idea about what is there must therefore be inaccurate, as that idea is blocking your view of what is actually there. This is what I mean by people being stupid. That's stupidity. Stopping yourself from being able to see what exists in front of you is quite a stupid thing to do. To willingly remove your own vision, to willingly remove your own ability to see. If that's what you are doing, then you are an idiot, and I have no problem with saying that. So yeah, it's going to be so much better, and it's going to be very, very quick. This process of the change that is taking place, and I'm going to a place that is actually interesting, where people pay attention to what is going on around, where people show an interest in the exciting and the creative processes that are taking place in their environment. That's not what they do here. Here they are quite arrogant, and they don't think like that. They just have a very, very shitty life, and they think they're okay with it. In fact, they think it's great. That's what I mean about arrogance. Having such a low quality of life, but then thinking that's superior to what other people have, not realizing just how stupid you are in thinking that is true. So, yeah, I'll say it again. You are a fucking idiot. You are so stupid. You have no idea what is true. And The reason that you have no idea what is true is because you can't see. The reason you can't see is because you have an idea about what is there. And that idea about what is there is stopping you from seeing what is there. So you don't know what is there. You just know an idea. And you have an arrogant idea, which is based on your insecurity. Your insecurity is the fact that you don't feel good enough. So you're trying to compensate for that insecurity by acting like you're better than other people when you're not. And you don't want to be. And you shouldn't want to be. Why would you want to be better than anyone? That's not doing you any favours at all. It's making you unliked. It's making you unlikable. So if you're actually questioning, like, why does no one like me? Why do I have no friends? Then that is obviously why. Because you're incredibly arrogant, and because you think you're better than other people when you're not. Stupid idiot. So, like I said, it's going to be a very, very quick turnaround into the new position, and that's going to be interesting. Not dealing with arrogant idiots, not having to think about them, not having to look at them, not wasting any more time on, caring about them, I suppose. Obviously, everybody should be cared about or cared for, but there has to be a limit on how much care can be given. And the reason for that is because you have to help yourself. First of all, you have to place yourself in the number one position. Anyway, this camera is on 1% battery, so I'm going to have to close it and charge it up for a bit. Great, my camera is charged. Brilliante. Just been messing about on TikTok, and I've just crossed over to having 400 followers. That's cool. Rock and roll, baby. Wiki wiki wah wah. I wonder how many followers I'm gonna get. I guess it's never ending. I guess it's a never ending journey. Wow. I think that's what I like about it. It's all about the journey, not about the destination. It's not like a video game where it's like, okay, I've completed it. Can't complete it because there's always more people. Anyway, so I'm all gravy, baby. I've just had 2 hours off the vlog. It's now 3 p.m. Had a little snack. Had a snack on some of these It's You crispy seaweed sniffs. Wait, what? Sorry, I'm reading it backwards. Crispy seaweed thins. Sea salt. Right, anyway. And they are quite delicious. Have a look at my suit that I have here. My lovely green suit. I am really looking forward to wearing that a lot more than I have been. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing very, very soon. Because I'm going into London. London, baby. I'm going to London. And that's where I'm going to live
From now on, bruv. Alright? Yeah? Okay. My face looks kind of evil, but I'm smiling, and I don't know what that means. If it means anything, maybe it means nothing. I don't know. So, anyway, um, I do really like TikTok quite a lot. To be honest, I think it's really good. I didn't go on it for, I don't know, I guess like months, weeks. I think weeks, because after I started this vlog, I just sort of like didn't really focus on TikTok too much. Now I'm looking at it again and I'm like, yeah, I like TikTok. I forgot how much I like it. I like the instant interaction of like, hi there, and then there's someone on the screen. They just go, hey James, how you doing? Like, that's great. It's cool. It's so cool. I could really just sit here all day doing that. And there was a point where I first like really got into TikTok, where I was just sitting there all day, just TikToking, tickety TikToking all flipping day. But then as I wanted to start like sort of going out and about more, then I was like, okay, I should do the vlog. And then that's when I was walking past CEX, and I got the I walked in and I saw they had the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, this camera that is actually recording right now, and it was secondhand, but it was like a decent price or whatever. I mean, I don't know if it was a decent price, but basically, as soon as I saw it, I just looked at it. I took one look. I was like, I want that. Okay, I'm gonna get it. Picked it up, and then ever since then, literally have been vlogging every single day since then. As soon as I figured out how to use the editing software, which was very quick, I was just instantly like, okay, I'm doing a vlog, and I'm doing a daily vlog, and that is now who I am. That is now what I do. So I just instantly took on the persona of a vlogger, and that's where we are now in the journey. So it's already been through some ups and downs, which is obviously the way that things are. Everything is like a roller coaster, ups and downs, and peaks and troughs, and fun and disappointment and whatever, everything in between, right? Um, and it's been really fun. It's been really good, and I'm still enjoying it a lot. I'm still very very happy that this is just my day. This is what I do with my day: is I make a vlog. I don't want to change that. I have no intention of changing that. And that's that. Um, anyway, so back to sort of what I'm doing now. Basically, I was thinking about going out, I guess, but I was waiting for the camera to charge. So I might go out again. I don't really sort of have to. So I think, well, if I don't have to, then why am I doing it? But I kind of want to. It's just like, it feels a little bit like, well, the more time spent outside the house, the more sort of exposure to the world, and that is what it is. But I don't know if sometimes I feel like less of that, sometimes I feel like more of that, and I'm always sort of like fine tuning the less more sort of knob on like turning it up, turning it up or turning it down. So um, I don't know if I'm turning it up or turning it down right now. If it's just okay, just where it is, or there's no real knob or anything. It's all just, I'm just talking a load of rubbish. But basically, to go outside, 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 to go outside. Oh yeah, because it was kind of good to be outside earlier. I'm just thinking, yeah, I could do that again. That was pretty good. Got no money to really spend, so it'll literally be just like walking around, and um,
pretty much on my own, and then talking to the camera. But it's like I would just be doing that here, except when I'm here, I can basically just like eat whenever I want to, keep making coffee. Whereas if I'm out and about, I can't just like make a coffee whenever I want one. Can't just eat whenever I'm hungry. But maybe that's a part of the appeal of being outside as well. Is like those temptations aren't there to have, and because I don't have the money to do anything, like I'm seeing not having the money to do anything is like that's a negative. So therefore, I don't want to sort of get involved in anything that feels like a negative. But there's lots of positives, I'm sure, as well, in going outside and just being in the world. I would say there are a lot of positives to that. So I should also focus on those, I guess. Now I'm thinking like, well, where would I go? What would I do? I mean, it would really just be like I go outside and I walk around, and if I feel like pulling the camera out and talking to the camera, then I do that. But I don't know. I could just stay here and like talk to the camera here. Like, why do I have to go outside and walk around in order to do that? I mean, I could just like walk around inside the house and talk to the camera, and I guess that feels different. Maybe that's like another halfway step between like sitting in the chair talking to the camera and then going outside, walking about and talking to the camera. I guess a halfway step would be being inside but walking around and talking to the camera. So I don't really know what's going on out there. I kind of want to go out there just because I don't know. I guess almost as like a challenge to just like, I don't know, just like I could have nerves if I am out and about because there's people around, and when there's other people around, they tend to give you nerves. When I say nerves, I just mean you have a reaction to there being other people around, and when there's no other people around, there's no reaction. So it feels like a better, sort of like stronger position to be saying like, I'm going to stay inside because there's no other people around. So it's just me and I'm just strengthening my own self without anybody else being able to sort of get in the way of that or to interfere with that or to add anything to it. And it's like, yeah, okay, but then I could also be missing out on all of the positive that other people could be adding to what I'm doing. And it's like I'm thinking that it's all just definitely going to be negative, which it's not. But it is guaranteed to be probably some positive and some negative. And so to avoid the positive, to avoid the negative means staying in, but it also means missing out on the negative. So it's like going out has to be accepting both the positive and the negative. And I don't always want to accept the negative, and I don't always think that the negative, the positive outweighs the negative. And if the positive outweighed the negative, then it would seem like a better idea to do it. But there would still be some negative, whereas I'm trying to get all positive, no negative. So I'll only really go out if it's all positive and no negative, which I don't know if that's a realistic sort of wish to even want or to ask for or to expect that it's possible. But I guess it has to be possible, at least in theory. I at least have to convince myself that it's going to be all positive just to actually make me do it. And then when I'm confronted with the reality that it's not all positive, then it's already too late. I'm already out. And so
what am I going to do? I can decide to go back, but then I have to apply time and effort to get back into the position that I want to be in, or that I was in, or that I'm going to be in moving forward. So that's how that works. And I understand that. And I'm not trying to make it seem like anything other than what it is. But I'm still only really looking for the positive. And I'm not really sure if the world around is going to actually respond to that and actually make that what happens. The other way to think about it is to try to recreate the image of what is positive and what is negative, and sort of find an acceptance for all of it, in which everything becomes sort of a net positive. And that's kind of what I do a lot of the time, is I think, well, on the whole, it was a bit of a mixed bag, but I'm happy enough with the results, so I would call that a success and say it was positive. And obviously sometimes it sort of goes the other way, where it's overwhelmingly negative. But I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that that isn't the way it is when it is. And that's why I complain sometimes. When I feel like there's too much negativity and there needs to be more positivity. And I do really think there needs to be less negativity and more positivity, generally speaking. I mean, it just sounds like quite an obvious thing to say. Like, there's definitely a want for more positivity in the world, because it's positivity that is all the feelings that are the good feelings. And people want to feel good more than they do feel bad. That's pretty obvious. So that should mean that people aspire to create more positivity. But I guess falling into negativity is just what happens. And I'm sort of reacting to negativity as I perceive negativity to be, with my own negativity, which is complaining or having something to say about it. So I'm responding to negativity with negativity. I'm not responding to negativity with positivity. And I don't know whether I should respond to negativity with positivity or not. I mean, there's sometimes when I respond to positivity with negativity, but I think the overall point here is it's not always that easy to tell what is positivity and what is negativity. And it's not always necessary to actually divide ideas into sort of binaries like that, saying it's one or the other, because it could be both and it also could be neither. Something could be positive, something could be negative. Something could be both positive and negative. Something could be neither positive nor negative. So this depends on how close you get to what it is you're looking at, what it is you're experiencing. And as you move further away, your idea of it changes. As you move closer, your idea of it changes. If you have an idea, which you might not have an idea. So these are all the possibilities of what can happen. And it's not like one is better than the other. And it's not like there is a one or there is another, because both of those themselves could be one. You could say we've got one or we've got the other. Or we could say we've got one and the other, and that makes up both. And we just refer to them as one thing. You put a new name on the two things mixed together. And then you have the both but neither, which you can then put a new name on as well. And it just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going. There's a new label, there's a new name, there's a new word, there's a new understanding of what everything is. And you have to keep looking at all these sides to what is happening, because there's one side, but then there's another side, and then there's another side, and then there's another side.
and then there's another side, 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 and that keeps going and going and going and going and going and going on and on and on and on and on, theoretically infinitely forever. So there's no end to the new sides that keep appearing. So what do you call all of that? When you describe that, what do you call all of that? How do you refer to that? What is that? It's not that easy to say what that is, because as you see it, then it changes. Then you see it again. Then it changes again. Then you see it again. Then it changes again. So where are the words that come in between that say this is this and that is that and everything like that? They're not there a lot of the time because there's no speed, there's no power, and the changing nature of what it is that you're observing is quicker than your ability to react and to respond, to be able to say, this is what that is. You can't say this is what that is because you can't react quickly enough and it's already changed by the time you go to say what it is. Now, sometimes you might be able to do that. You might be able to say what it is, but that's not what it is. That's what you think it is, and it's not what it is because that can change, and it can also be, well, no. It's not just that. It's that and this, but it's both of those, and it's neither. So where do you go from there? That just leaves you with like nothing to say. What are you going to say about that? What all that happens in those situations is it ends up being like one word that you have or no words. So everything gets reduced down to I have no words or you have no words. There's no reason to say anything. You don't need a word. You can have a word and you might have a word. But if you don't, you don't. So when that one word comes up, no. When that one word comes up, yes. That's incredibly straightforward. Why do you have to plan or think that there has to be some kind of plan for what you're going to say when what happens? What are you going to do when what happens? There doesn't need to be a plan of any kind. You can react, you can respond, you can say 0, or you can say 1 word. Go between those. 0 words, 1 word. Stay there for as long as you possibly can. And don't even think about saying more than that. Stay at 0. Why not? You can stay there as long as you can. You can stay there as long as you want to. You don't have to progress to even 1. Hello. You don't have to go there. You can just stay at nothing, right? Take as long as you need. No need to do anything. No need to make anything happen. No need to respond to anything. If you want to respond, respond. If you want to say anything, say as much as you want to. But if you're looking forward to what's coming and you're trying to think about what you're going to do, just rely on the fact that you can do nothing, have no response, or you can give 1 word. Hello. And then build from that. Don't overcomplicate the foundations of your mentality. Don't add too much wood into the fire too quickly. Don't create too many ideas too fast. Go at the pace that you feel is necessary or correct. Go with what feels good. Go with what feels appropriate. Right? It's that simple. Everything's so simple. You don't need to know how to respond. If you don't know how to respond, then you say, I don't know how to respond. There's your plan. If they say, we need you to say something, you say, I don't know what to say. There's your plan. The whole rest of it is one word. Starts with one word. Everything you say starts with one word. Do you realise that? I am going to go out for a walk. All I had to say was I, and then the rest came along. Just focus on one. You can either focus on 0, I am saying nothing, or focus on 1, and each one at a time is what makes up a sentence. If you say 5 words, I am going to bed. If you say those 5 words, you're not saying 5 words, I'm going to bed. You're saying, I am going to bed. In between every word is a gap, is a thought, is consciousness, is awareness. That's in everything. Slow everything down, make everything so simple that anyone could do it, and then you could do it. Because if anyone could do it, then you could do it. Right? I hope that solved some problems for you if you were having any at all. Whenever you're looking ahead into the future, just remind yourself there's nothing to say unless there is. And if there is, it's all just one word after another. That's all you need to know. No plan more than that required. Peace. So anyway, I'm going to go out now for a little walkabout. Just gonna grab my phone. I could do that. Got my phone, got my wallet, got my keys. I'm just gonna put my camera away in the case. And I'm ready to go. I didn't video anything at all actually the whole time I was out, did I? Whoops. Said I was going to video when I was out. And I didn't. I went on quite a long ranty ramble before I went out. So the whole time I was outside walking about, I was just kind of like just chilling my head after that, because yeah, I got quite enthusiastic there. I went to some places that I'm not sure I've even been to before in terms of like speech. So yeah, I was really just calming down on the walk around. Wasn't very long. I walked basically just up to the shop down the road. Turned around and came back. I was looking through my pocket and realised that I actually had 65p. Whereas I thought I just had these 4 pennies that I had. But then yeah, it turned out I've actually got, I guess, 69p. I've also got a very small amount of money in my bank account. I'm gonna check what I've got in there, because Customer number. Yeah, so I've got another 71p in my bank account. I could go and get the Lucky Lemonade. It's the lemonade they sell at Morrison's. That is very cheap for a bottle of it. Not exactly sure what it costs. I think it's around 30p for a bottle. But I basically called it the Lucky Lemonade because I would only buy it when I was really low on money, to the point where I've only got like usually less than £1 left. And then I would buy like the Lucky Lemonade just as a reminder that like I may not have a lot, but I still have something. And that was like the only thing that I could actually buy at one point. So it kind of just reminds me to value what I have, and also to use my last little bit of money to buy something lucky means thinking that I'm gonna have more luck on the way, and I could use some more luck on the way. That is definitely true. So I managed to get some good video today, I would say. And there's still more to get. It's not yet 4 p.m. So the day is still relatively young. Kind of. Well, it's kind of like middle-aged. Basically, it's not yet the evening, but there's still plenty of time to go today for me to get some more video done as one thing, and then to do some other things that I would like to do. I could go and get a Lucky Lemonade from Morrison's, but I don't know if I want to do that really. I don't really like going out all that much. Sometimes I don't really like it. Sometimes I do. But I always seem to do it anyway. Going out, spending time outside. Because I do think it's important to have that as part of a balanced lifestyle, so that I don't become too comfortable being inside. I don't really want to allow myself to become all that comfortable, because I don't think it's good for me to actually become comfortable a lot. I think there's a time and a place where it feels as though that's needed and it's necessary. But there really has to be a balance, and I have to do things out in the world in order to keep the balance good. Just for me personally, not mentioning anyone else, not thinking of anyone else, not considering anyone else and how they come into the balance. It's just me, just my personal thoughts and feelings on myself. I like to get a good balance of time spent indoors, time spent outdoors, because, well, time spent indoors for me is sort of independent, alone time. It's just me on my own in my house. It's my own space. So I like that. I like a lot of that. But I don't want to have too much of that to the point where it becomes a source of anxiety, I would say. Instead, I get a lot of my own time to myself so that I can remain headstrong, independent, and doing exactly what I want to do without there being anyone else involved. I like a lot of that because I really like to focus on myself completely and to be very, very, very independent. Um, but I do also have a social side and I do like to be outside. I do like to see other people, um, and to feel like I'm a part of the world. I love it out there. A lot of the time I do. A lot of the time I love it. Um, and all I'm really saying is that I like to have both time alone and time with other people, and I like to have both time indoors and time outdoors, and I also like neither of those, meaning to have no concept or idea to even reflect upon, which leaves me with a clear mind. That is also what I like. So I'm going to sort of reflect upon whether I would like to go to Morrison's and get that lemonade that I was talking about. I would need a backpack, and then it's a walk down the road to the Morrison's. I think I'll wait until it gets darker and then I'll do it. Might be nice to just be out in the coolness of the darker evening. Um, that is, for me, very calming. And I like the cooler and the darker evenings because it cools my head, calms me down. And relaxes me. So that is my plan now. I think there's no real thoughts much apart from that. And everything else that I've been thinking about really has been said many times on these videos, and I will say it again because I want to. Really, I like repeating myself, to be honest. Because I find when I talk about the same things more, I think about new sides to what I'm saying, what I'm seeing, and what I'm saying combined. And it makes my image of what I'm talking about clearer and clearer. And it feels like to me, it brings the manifestation of the actuality closer. Because I've got such a bright and clear image of what I'm looking to do, that it feels very natural, and I can then see what it is exactly that I have to do in order to make my goals come to fruition. And it takes a lot of the weight out of the concepts, and makes them easier to handle. So there's an etheric quality to them, which has somewhat of an intoxicating effect in that it creates all of this bliss, these blissful feelings that are associated with the picture as it is being described. And all of that clarity and that bliss leads to people supporting the ideas that are presented, and the support is what contributes to the manifestation of the desired goal, there has to be a shared effort. But it comes from small amounts from many people who feel a momentary passionate desire to contribute. But countless of those small contributions make up large amounts, and with those large amounts, many dreams, goals can be brought to fruition as the funds are available and money is really the key to everything. But my question is, what is the key to money? And I would say the key to money is networking, meeting more people, interacting with more people, and finding people who are creatively inspired and excited about similar things to yourself. When you meet those people, then all of the combined energies of all these people come together and create something new. And that new thing is whatever can appear based on shared concepts which accumulate to become something that appears to be greater than the sum of its parts. That is then praised and celebrated, and then the process starts again. More people join the party, so to speak, and they also contribute their energy. This really translates from smaller groups to larger groups, and there's a continuation in the process of this creative manifesting. And this is all organic. It just happens the way it happens. There's no need to try and sort of control the direction of anything. although it is natural to try to control that which seems as though it can be controlled, but that will often be met with reactions that really slow down or stop progress. So it's better to really allow everybody to get a little bit of what they want, so people remain calm and don't feel as though they're being overpowered by anybody else. That is a lot of what contributes to there being collective projects in existence. Everybody has to feel as though they're getting what they want from it in equal measures, or else why would they want to be a part of it? Anyway, I think I'm going to do a little meditation. Maybe. I've had my eyes half open, eyes half closed for a little bit of time. And that is my actual meditation that I do. I meditate on that idea. Eyes half open, eyes half closed. What does that look like? What does that feel like? For me, that means equal parts calm and relaxed, equal parts focused. Perfectly balanced mind, focused, stable, strong, calm. I got plenty of video for the day today, so I'm going to be finishing the YouTube video here, and I'll see you tomorrow for more. Peace out.